In the winter of 1905, in a Brooklyn tenement barely holding warmth, a girl was born to a world that had almost nothing to offer her. Her name was Clara Bow, a spark in the dark, destined to burn brighter than anyone imagined. In the winter of 1905, in a Brooklyn tenement barely holding warmth, a girl was born to a world that had almost nothing to offer her. Her name was Clara Bow, a spark in the dark, destined to burn brighter than anyone imagined. One night, her mother's illness broke through the walls of silence. The woman who had given her life now came for it. Clara survived, but the fear would live in her forever. She was just a girl from Brooklyn, entering a movie contest she barely understood. But when the spotlight hit her, the room went still. In that single moment, Clara Bow's story truly began. She'd won the contest, her prize, one chance, one screen test, one open door. The studio didn't see a star yet, just another girl with a suitcase. But Clara saw her future waiting beyond those gates. She had never seen anything like it. The lights, the lenses, the impossible dream made real. For the first time, Clara Bow wasn't just watching the movies, she was standing inside one. She'd made it onto film, but not into the movie. Her first role, cut before it ever reached the screen. For Clara Bow, rejection was nothing new, but this time it only made her hungrier. In the plastic age, Clara wasn't acting, she was simply alive. Every gesture, every glance, every spark of joy was real. Audiences saw it too, and in that instant, Hollywood had its new star. They called her the It Girl, the woman who had something you couldn't name but couldn't look away from. Confidence, desire, freedom. Clara Bow was the heartbeat of the jazz age. By 1928, Clara Bow was the most famous woman in America. $7,000 a week, her face on every magazine cover. But behind the laughter and the lights, she was already beginning to unravel. She worked without rest, 11 films in 3 years, endless publicity, no time to breathe. The studio called it discipline, Clara called it survival. When sound came to Hollywood, it changed everything. Clara's charm had always been movement and feeling, but now her Brooklyn accent was suddenly a flaw in a world that demanded perfection. The talkies hadn't ruined Clara, the whispers had. Stories of wild parties, bad behavior, of a woman who didn't know her place. Most of them weren't true, but truth didn't matter anymore. The studios had found a new story to sell. The story that destroyed her came from someone she trusted, a secretary she had fired, selling lies to hungry tabloids. Clara sued and won, but it didn't matter. The damage was already printed, pressed, and sold. Paramount called it a business decision. The contract wouldn't be renewed. To Clara, it felt like exile. The studio that once built her into a goddess had turned off the lights and walked away. On the set of Hoopla, Clara tried to hold herself together, but the pressure, the pace, and the pills caught up with her. By the end of filming, her body was breaking, and so was her spirit. She finished the film, barely standing. The next day, Clara checked herself into a sanatorium. 28 years old and already finished with Hollywood. In the sanatorium, there were no cameras, no headlines, no applause. For the first time in years, Clara Bow was unseen. And for a moment, she felt both lost and free. Clara married Rex Bell and left Hollywood behind. Out on the Nevada plains, she tried to rebuild her life. A new kind of quiet after the storm. For a while, it almost worked. She tried to live quietly as a wife, a mother, a ghost of her former self. The world saw peace, but inside, Clara still carried the noise of everything she had survived. The quiet she'd once dreamed of began to feel like a cage. Panic returned, uninvited. Some days she couldn't leave her bed. Other days she couldn't stop remembering the roar of the crowd that no longer called her name. She had become a spectator in the world she once ruled. On the television, new stars smiled. Bright, polished, untouchable. Clara watched them like someone remembering a dream she could no longer wake into. In 1949, she tried to return, a screen test, a chance to be seen again. But the nerves that had once fueled her charm now betrayed her. The camera still loved her, but she no longer believed it. She watched herself from another lifetime, the girl who'd once made the world laugh, cry, desire. Decades later, she could barely remember how it felt to be seen that way. The reel spun on, but the woman inside them had long since disappeared. Decades after her silence, Clara's voice returned, not through words, but through light. Archivists and dreamers pieced her world back together frame by frame, rescuing the brilliance that history had buried. Every restored image was an act of resurrection. New generations found her again, not as a ghost, but as a guide. For the women who came after, Clara Bow was more than a relic of silent cinema. She was proof that the spark of rebellion and truth could survive even a century of forgetting. Her reflection lived on, not in marble statues or studio backlots, but in every woman who dared to be seen on her own terms. From the flapper to the superstar, the lineage was unbroken. Clara Bow had become an echo in every spotlight. The world remembered her at last. past. In packed theatres and quiet living rooms, Clara Bow returned to the light, her laughter echoing through restored frames, her brilliance finally seen for what it was, the beginning of everything. Historians and critics began to see her not just as a star, but as a system, one that shaped the rules of fame, desire, and destruction. Clara Bow wasn't simply a chapter in Hollywood's story, she was its first blueprint. Every headline, every scandal, every comeback, all of it began with her. She was never truly gone. Every time a camera rolls, every time a new face meets the light, her spirit flickers back to life. Clara Bow, the girl who taught the world what it means to be seen. Her story doesn't end in darkness. It lives forever in the glow of the screen.